Welcome, everybody. Beer Guys Radio. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it very, very much. We are going to get right into the show here, but if you have a comment, something you'd like to let us know about or ask us about, please do just go drop it in the chat there. We would love to hear from you. So, with that said, we're going to get right into it. Brian, wasting no time this week. Let's go.
All right.
Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you so much for coming here, hanging out with us, having some beers, having good times. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Good,
Adequate
man.
levels
Good.
of caffeination and
Okay,
not too
just
tired.
right on the proper level.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody had told you yet, but it's October. I don't know if you'd been broken in on that yet.
Yeah. I heard this rumor that October was coming up quick,
Yeah,
and I guess it's
right
here.
there.
I did
right
notice
there.
that this morning and was slightly startled by it. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
Because
Q4, Brian. Q4.
Yeah, I sit in denial of fall until like about a week after fall has actually arrived. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
It helps that the weather plays along. It's been like it was 90s and whatnot for at least a week after it was officially fall. So I'm like, everybody's in a hurry. Like it hits September, like, oh my gosh, it's already fall. I'm like,
Time
no,
to go
it's not.
Christmas
We've got a
shopping.
few
Yeah.
weeks. Yeah. No, I've already
Yeah.
seen that too. People, why don't you book your holiday things here? I'm like, why don't you just take off with that crap for about a
Right.
month? Nobody wants that right now.
Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday, Brian.
Oh God.
Yeah.
If I hear that whatever it is gets closed immediately, I'm not in on the joke. I'm like, I think I'm vaguely
I'm not
aware of
either.
what it is conceptually, but I hate that it's showing up everywhere. And I know that's part of the joke, but take off with that. I'm not, if you put that in the background of anything, I'm flipping past.
You're done.
Closing. I'm
You're
out.
done.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Brian
Yeah.
will not stand for this.
Not
at
even for
all.
a second. I'm done. Yeah.
You know, I was checking out the weather today, and I saw some of the northern states already have like freeze warnings. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Some of those, it is October. So some of those northern states do start doing that freezing.
They
thing.
actually have cold weather up there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. And for Georgia, it's kind of perfect time of year, man, because we get 60, low 60s to 60 at night. And then our days are right around 80, somewhere, 80s, low 80s. So it's gorgeous here right now.
Yeah.
We will get the cold. It's just fortunately we're southerly enough that it's delayed a little bit.
I think we get it in like March, like late January and March.
January and February seem to be our tough months here. February, really. Yeah.
We've had 70-degree weather. I have worn a Hawaiian shirt unironically outside on Christmas Day before.
Yeah.
And felt fine, So we get that kind of weather here frequently.
Well, we don't get it. No, I don't hate it either. And we don't get enough. Like we don't have typically, occasionally we do, but we don't have like a week where it's 20 degrees. We'll have some there. Like most of the time, man, a light hoodie is the most I need. And really, if it's even in like the 50s or 40s, I will sometimes still wear a short sleeve shirt because like I got to run into the store or do something like that. I'm not, unless I'm going out goofing around outside, I'm not concerned with it.
Well, I am well insulated, so my days of needing like thermal underwear or anything like that are probably mostly behind me. There were times when I was a thinner guy where, I needed the coat.
Need a little insulation, huh?
Now I have a coat that I enjoy the look of that is as warm as it needs to be, and usually a little too warm, and I'm good.
That's fair. That's
basically
fair.
That's it. It's the same attire I wear all the time, plus one coat.
Plus a coat. Good to go. Y'all, Mo Mike Nate is not with us this week. We actually don't know where he is. We haven't talked to him in weeks. We're not even sure if he's still alive, honestly. So,
I think he's running drugs again.
But we just know that he's not here. He had a prior commitment or a last minute commitment that kept him away from the show. So be it. Brian, let's talk some beers of the. Hold on. We did some Oktoberfest stuff last week.
We did.
We finally got around to doing that, since it was into September and that we went out to Monday Night Brewing here in Atlanta, and they have a new location they've opened up. It's kind of interesting. It's next to their original location, but a different lot building, I guess. But they call it the Grove, and that's super nice over there. That's the kind of place that you want to go hang out. They've got a very large outdoor area, and a massive TV. I don't know how big the TV is. I'll just say it's massive.
Yes.
And normally TVs of that size are not very clear, but it's super high definition. So if you're in the Atlanta area, you're a football fan, the Grove would be a fantastic place to catch a game and have a beer.
But people were definitely watching football while we were there,
Yeah.
drinking our Oktoberfest beers. Man, that picture is so sharp. It's so bright. It nearly cut the retinas of my
Cut
eyes.
your
Just that,
eyes.
yeah, like that was impressive. So, man, barrel aged Oktoberfest beers, those are great.
So
I
good,
don't
man.
get to
So
have those
good.
very often, but I'm glad we got one in, and 7 deadly stouts again. That was
Which
quite
was
nice
excellent.
as well.
Very good this year, by the way.
Yes.
So it has had a bit of quality variation, I will say, over the releases. The first one was excellent.
Yes.
I don't remember if it was the second or third was fine, I guess. But this year's, man, really good, really good.
Very nice. Yeah.
So that was nice. But Brian, speaking of beers, what are your beers of the week?
So I pre-gamed with a Weihenstephaner Fest beer because I do love those so much, and it is glorious. And yeah, I've been looking around. That's a popular one. That one seems to be moving quick at all the places I've been buying it. So buy it up, drink them if you got them. And we're running short on Oktoberfest season already, so now's a good time to drink it. I am currently moving on to Boulevard's Tropical Tank 7. I don't know if you've heard of this one, Tim, but it's a farmhouse saison that promises a burst of tropical fruit aroma on top of the typical Tank 7, and it delivers. And I'm smelling it and tasting it. I'm like, I don't think they did this, but I'm also wondering, like, was thiolized yeast involved? Because it has a particular aroma to it that reminds me a little of some of the one or two thiolized beers I've had, like that. I think it's a particular mango, like a very potent, and that's a very pleasant thing, but it's yeah. Anyway, like it a good amount, drinking that, and I plan to finish up with the after show party with some Heady Topper that Mo Mike brought
Heady
back.
Topper,
indeed, and it's been a week or two, so man, it's nearly stale at this point. I'm sure.
I know. That's what I was going to ask. Did you have one like soon when you got them?
Oh yeah, I went through. I had Focal Banger and Heady Topper both like very shortly after I got them, and that's the thing. I'm like, you want to drink them super fresh, but also like I don't want to drink them all and be done with them. I don't want them to all be gone right away. So yeah, I need to accelerate that. I think I might have a can of each left at this point, and I can't wait. I mean, they're just going to go bad, and then I'll feel bad about like it's either they're all gone or they're bad. So which would you rather have? I'd rather them be gone, I suppose.
Sophie's drink choice, Brian.
Indeed, it is.
Do I save or what? Schrodinger's beer? Maybe is the beer is both. No, that wouldn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
I was gonna say, well, I guess when you observe it by drinking it, it's before that it's either
it's both good
it's
and
either
bad.
gone, yeah, good and bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that works out at all.
Anyhow, that was a stretch for me there, but yeah. So, and Brian, no alcohol for me tonight. Just going along. I'm limiting mine, as has been mentioned. So I did have a couple this weekend as we went out and did some Oktoberfest, and so taking it easy today. I have a Sonic powdered version of their cherry limeade is what I'm drinking tonight.
Oh, okay. How was that?
It's pretty good, man. It's pretty. Okay. Have you had a Sonic cherry limeade before?
I don't think I have, to be honest. I don't make it to Sonic very often. So.
Yeah, they're really good, and they use some fresh lime in there, so you get some actual fresh lime run. This, of course, is artificial stuff, but for what it is, man, it's tasty.
Are they the ones that have the billboards all around where they're like, we're using beef tallow in our fries, or is that a different
No,
place?
I think that is...
is that Steak and Shake?
Maybe? Steak and Shake? Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, beef tallow, that's right. Beef tallow is cool again. We can go back to the beef tallow now, so...
apparently, yes.
It was not good for a while. We'll give it, I don't know, maybe it'll have another 20-year run, then we'll have to go back to some kind of other process.
It goes from being banned to a health food or something like that. I
think I've heard people are like using it on their skin, like as a beauty product and stuff.
I've heard about this, yeah.
Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Well, Brian, diving into our stories this week, cyber attacks are all around. And speaking of that, related to the story you're about to share, I got an email today from Park Mobile on a class action lawsuit because they had a data breach, And so because of their data breach, there was a class action to get them, and there was a settlement. And Brian, I was rewarded from the settlement from Park Mobile, and I will have you know that I got $1 in credits for
How
Park
about
Mobile.
that?
But there's a catch, Brian. On that $1, I can only use 25 cents a time to.
At 25 cents at a time?
Correct. Correct. I feel like that was almost, for anyone on Reddit, there's a subreddit called malicious compliance. And I kind of feel like
Yes.
that's what Park Mobile did. They're like, all right, yeah, we got you. You get $1. But
And by accepting the $1, I think you forego any chance of like suing them
there.
about anything in
Yeah.
the future. That all sounds scammy, but I think everything
It's
about
crazy, man.
I don't know Park Mobile personally in any way business wise, but I think a lot of those parking things are pretty scammy. Honestly,
I mean, it's seriously, some of the spots were like $25 for 2 hours. It's
nonsense.
It's
Yeah.
nuts.
I know
But
people
Brian,
will pay it, but still nonsense.
Well, they got a captive audience. Do you want to go to the restaurant, the bar, the game, whatever it may be? You don't have a choice. You got to park. So
It's extortion. Yeah.
it is. It is. Well, Brian, related to the cyber attack that I just discussed, Asahi had to stop their production because they got cyber attacked.
Yeah, the giant Japanese brewery that produces the beer by the same name, and actually some other beverages on top of that, they were hit by a cyber attack on Monday, and they were forced to stop beer production at all of their facilities in Japan. And there are apparently 30 brewing and packaging factory facilities in Japan. So this is a pretty big deal. This is affecting a lot of people. They are still offline as of the last time I read. By the time the show drops, maybe that will have changed, but there's no official timeline yet for when they're going to come back online. Now, there was a caveat in a story I read that says there's a possibility that a couple of the facilities are still actually running and they don't actually know. So it's a big enough company that they might actually have facilities running that they're unaware of. But I think a lot of they have some real issues.
That Asahi's unaware of?
Yeah, or they just the spokesperson they talked to was unaware of. Like they may not have the full information. It's kind of chaotic. So officially they say they're experiencing a system failure and unable to process orders or shipments, and their call center apparently is also offline. Their communications, they've got a communications problem too, apparently. But they do say there have been no confirmed leakage of personal information or customer data to external parties, which is not quite the same as saying there hasn't been a leak. Just nothing has been confirmed yet. They're not aware of it. At this point, it sounds like they're very much still figuring out what happened and probably who clicked on a link in a phishing email. And I read stuff about this, and I think about how grouchy I've been about a lot of security policies going in at work for a very good reason. And I'm like, well, it's really a nuisance, all the security stuff, but it's a lot better than this happening because, being taken completely offline is, also he can probably weather that storm, but that's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, that's really
it's expensive for those big companies to be shut down for the day. I actually failed a phishing test, PHI. SHI at my day job. And I was so proud that I had like a perfect record. I'd reported all of them, like I caught all of them before. And but this one got through. We recently were purchased by our parent company, or we merged with our parent company, and I've been getting a lot of emails from this parent company. And so I got an email that was relating to a topic they talked about recently. And anyhow, long story short, in my parent company's name, there's a letter that's a double letter, and in the email address it was triple, and I didn't see it, so I had to take cyber safety training.
They can make it like it can be too good. Like at a certain point, if you're spoofing this, like the phishing that's just to test people, if it's related to a conversation you had in the business itself, like dude, that's too much. Like if it's really related to stuff that only insiders would know, at that point, I'm like, now come on, you're not even being fair. But I guess they
have to, though, right? I'm like, you know what? Okay, guys. Yep, you're trying to get us. Look, this is related to something we told you you'd be getting information on. It comes from an address that looks like an address that kind of info would come from. No misspellings, all of that. I consider myself fairly savvy with that kind of thing, but they got me, man. They got me. So
before you know it, you'll be forwarding chain chain things on Facebook. You're becoming
yeah.
a grandparent. Like you'll fall for all this stuff.
So I'm going to be showing my age on this one, and I think we have a slightly older audience. But do you remember the tennis player Anna Kournikova?
I do, yeah.
And well, I guess that was early 2000s when
I think
she
so.
was super popular.
Was she the
Well,
screaming one, the one that made it popular to yell in tennis? Was that her or somebody else?
not that I recall. Not that I
Oh, okay.
recall. So
I don't know.
she was very attractive, I think Russian or Ukrainian girl. And but I had a coworker that he like 3 different times got malware on his computer because he got emails that said, check out this risque video of Anna Kournikova. And he's like, I know it's malware, but just in case, I just got to try. And
Oh,
so he just
come
kept
on!
falling for
Like
it. So yeah,
it's a work email. You know what? You know what, buddy? If you're going to infect anything, forward that to your personal account.
yeah, take it
Check it
home,
from your
man.
personal
Take
machine
it
and
home.
deal with it there. I mean, seriously, you shouldn't even open that stuff
Crazy.
on a work machine. I
No,
am
or at all.
amazed at how many people actually do that.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
the word is, I've heard informally, not necessarily, I'm not talking about my current place of business or anything like that, but I have heard in the past from people that work in security that the C-suite folks are the worst about clicking on phishing emails and clicking on just
Yeah.
just like weird like porn or whatever that's coming into their business email. And again, I'm not talking about anybody specifically here, but that the upper management is terrible at that. So they really have to protect those people from themselves. I don't know why, but yeah.
The guy at
Anyway.
my job that clicked the Anna Kournikova one, Anna Kournikova, he was a VP. He was a
Okay.
VP there. So yeah.
There's just no
Anyhow,
excuse for that. Come on.
crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. All these cyber attacks. And they used to be so primitive back in the day, but
Oh yeah.
they're good and they're nonstop. Anyhow, moving along with beer info here, y'all. We got some news last week that actually surprised us quite a bit. And Iron Hill Brew Pub, which we used to have a couple locations here in the Atlanta area. We had the founder on the show one time, really nice guy.
Yep.
And before they came to Atlanta, their PR person reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're coming to Atlanta, blah blah blah." And she said, "I'd love to get some input from you on the local scene and kind of what the buzz is." And I told her then, I was like, "Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Chain brew pubs don't do well here." I said, "We've had a lot go through," and I said, "There's a stigma with chain brew pubs." I said, "So far, the opinion is, oh great, another chain brew pub." So they said, "Well, we want to prove to you that we're not just another chain brew pub." And when they came into Atlanta, they actually became part of the local brewing scene. Like they did a festival where they featured our local craft brewers. They participated in events and festivals, which is stuff that places like Gordon Biersch and that didn't do in the past, so they really tried to become part of the brew scene, and their beer was considerably better than what I would consider standard brew pub beer, standard chain brew pub beer. So anyhow,
I would agree.
the one Brian had one near him that closed a while ago. I don't remember. And we had another location. And so some news came out that some more were closing. And we thought, okay, well, I'm sure this other Atlanta one's on the chopping block. But Iron Hill announced that they closed. Like the entire chain closed every single location of the Iron Hill Brew Pub.
Yeah. So I mean, it was like a few weeks ago, like a 2 or 3 weeks ago, but they announced that they were closing 3 locations. None of them were here in Georgia. I honestly thought the other location in Georgia was going to get axed. So I was surprised not to see it. But like a couple weeks after that, they just abruptly 16 locations in 5 states, all of them closed. So on social media, there's an outpouring of sadness from loyal customers saying, they wish they'd gone back. There's a lot of irritation from people with gift cards who had no warning of this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of anger from former employees. It seems that most employees had no advance warning of the closure. Some of them heard about it through group chats and text messages and things like that the day of. And a few found out apparently when they walked up and found the place was locked, so
wow.
Really, that's really not the way you want to do things. According to the rumors online leading up to the closure, the internal chatter was positive within the company about the future of the company, even after the previous closure of the 3 locations. Like they said, we're cutting these loose so we can have, better prospects for the future. Like everything was looking up. So that's like recent type of stuff within the past couple of weeks. According to an internal memo, a bankruptcy filing is in the works, and the company is hoping to secure new sources of funding. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. They cite ongoing financial challenges as the reason for the closure, kind of generic. Online fingers are pointing at the private equity firm that took over leadership from the founders, I think back in 2019, 2020. I'm not sure exactly when that happened, but people say that set the brew pub chain on the path to failure with years of cost cutting, pretty extensive cost cutting, I guess. That was specifically mentioned. So if you were somebody that was going to them over the years, and if your experience seemed to be going downhill in recent years, it probably was, because I think they were cutting back. I know the one near me before it closed, actually the other one that I visited occasionally, it looked like they were paring things back a lot in terms of staff and everything else.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Why it's so surprising is Iron Hill was founded all the way back in 1996, and they were the fourth largest pub brewery in the country by volume in 2024, just last year, according to the Brewers Association. So super surprising. I would not have expected them to close down completely. I would have expected them to pull back into more of their home turf than they did, but
Right.
nope.
You would think even like the original location that they could keep that going, but I guess it's one of those things. If you got, too many weights pulling you down, even if there's too many anchors, Brian, even one sail can't move the boat forward.
That's true. I wonder if it's a little bit like the 21st Amendment thing, where they thought they had funding and it abruptly was pulled out from under them. I don't know how that works, but that's the kind of thing that, that quick turnaround. Like, this is the same kind of pattern we've seen before. I'm like, what's going on here? Are people just getting cold feet and jumping out of things like left and right? Maybe that's what's happening behind the scenes. I don't know.
There's just so much going on, Brian. It's just, in our own personal government here in the U.S., the world economies, everything. It's a crazy time right now, man.
It is.
We'll have to see how this all shakes out, but beer's definitely taken a beating from it. That's for sure. Brian, indeed. A hot topic in the U.S. is who is the, quote, king of beers. And Budweiser likes to make that claim, but it seems like there's a lot of fighting and clawing to be the king of the hill there, to take that number one spot. And we just saw recently that there is a new number one king of the hill top beer in the U.S.
The competition is fierce there at the top.
It is. Yes.
It is as rough as everything else is, but there's a lot of growth up there. Michelob Ultra is now the top selling beer in the United States by volume, according to recent Circana scan data. It replaces Modelo, which briefly held the top spot. Modelo's rise to the top was cut short by recent political events and trade policies, tariffs, basically. I think that basically was their undoing. Prior to Modelo, the longstanding beer, top beer in the country, the king of beers, was Bud Light, which, as we all know, took a big hit back in 2023 when the band was boycotted by a lot of its fan base. So Michelob Ultra sales have been growing significantly, swelling 15% from 2020. Part of that growth is due to a marketing strategy that's focused on major sporting events like the FIFA World Cup and the Olympics. AB InBev's marketing people have done a great job of making this beer synonymous with like active lifestyles, and that's very intentional. Even though Bud Light's days at the top may be over, this is still a pretty big win for AB InBev. I think Michelob Ultra was going to beat out Bud Light sooner or later. There was projections years ago. They were talking about, I was reading about, Michelob Ultra will eventually be the top beer in the country. Even before any kind of controversy with Bud Light, it was going to happen. It was just growing too fast. And I'm pretty sure that AB InBev expected this to happen. I know this because I kept reading speculation about it. This just happened a lot faster than they expected it to. So you couldn't have expected the boycott. You go back to 2020, 2019, you couldn't have expected a boycott. You wouldn't have expected tariffs. You wouldn't have expected any of this stuff. So, or the pandemic, none of this stuff. So it's hard to like guess what's going to happen. But here we are. Probably faster than anybody expected, but this is where it was going to end up probably anyway.
Boy, it's been quite a 5 years, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Just crazy, man. Crazy. And, I'm seeing articles every day, and even to the point they're stretching beyond the beverage industry publications, talking about the drinking habits of, the younger generation, and not just drinking, but really hospitality in general. Like, what do people want? What does, again, I forget, is it Gen Z Are they drinking now, Brian?
They are.
Which generation is it? So
Some of them are. I don't
okay,
know what the
yeah.
cutoff is, but there's certain amounts that can't yet legally, but there are some that are. So
Okay, so they're the new generation of
yeah.
drinkers is going to be in Gen Z, but talking about what they like, what they don't like, and how to win the Gen Z drinker because us Gen Xers, man, we were all about. I mean, a party for us was let's get a keg, let's get some bottles, do you remember party balls? The
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the I think I think it was essentially like a quarter keg or something, and those were just great. But the Gen Z's not about that, man. They're not about all that drinking like we were back in the day. So
I don't know. We do have a story coming up a little bit later. I think.
okay,
I
we'll
think.
see.
I think that it might be overstated what Gen Z's relationship to alcohol is going to be. First of all, they're all very young. They're just seriously like, I think they're just over the halfway point of people who in that generation who can actually drink. I think it goes from like people that are 12 years old to like, I don't know, almost 30 or something like that. So
Okay,
there's like a
quite a
fair
range
number of
there, huh?
people
All
who
right,
aren't
gotcha.
drinking because they legally can't and
Because they're
they
12.
really shouldn't be.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a period or phase of your life where it was really just about partying? Like that was the
Oh,
main goal?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some time during college, definitely during college, especially, and after college where it was just about going out. And I didn't, I really like we were surrounded. I was in Portland. I was surrounded by good beer, and I drank that when I was going out and having lunch or dinner or something with friends. That was great. But when I was going out, we were getting like pints of like mixed drinks that were all alcohol. Like we were looking
Yeah.
for the place that served the most alcohol.
Long Island tea and stuff like
It
that?
was all about going out,
Yeah.
doing the scene, catching your buzz, yeah, that was definitely a thing. I don't know if it's quite that way these days, but that was definitely the way it was in the past.
Yeah, I don't know that they raged like that, but I had probably 3 or 4 years of my life where that was really the main goal every weekend, and not just every weekend, but we had a club near me, like one of our favorite clubs did ladies night on Thursday, and the ladies got in for free, and they had a $5 cover charge for the guys, and because I'm 130 years old, they had pitchers of beer for $5. And if I remember right, the beer was Coors Extra Gold, which I don't think even exists anymore. But I mean, really for a $20 bill, Brian, you could go out and have, a really good time. You get you. We always went to Crystal or Waffle House after leaving the club at 2 a.m. But you pay that $5 cover, you get a pitcher or two of beer, and you're good, man. You're good to go. So.
I used to go to a place that had, I think it was Thursday nights in the Chinatown area of Portland, and they had go-go dancers on these. They weren't really stages; they were just kind of the backs of booths. So we'd go there. I'd
Okay.
go there with friends. They'd be dancing, be club music on, and we went there partly because of that, because it was kind of a trip. That was go-go dancing, and like it was kind of interesting. And they had I think they were dollar tall boys of Ice House the last time I went there, but I think
Okay.
they started off
Yeah.
with dollar tall boys of PBR. And so that was our thing. We'd go there, we'd drink beer, and we'd BS while we're casually like looking up. They're above us, so we casually look up and watch them dancing a bit. So I don't know. It was a thing to do.
Dollar beers and 25-cent chicken wings, Brian. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember. I miss those days. Bring back the good old days there. It was a good time.
I agree. Those were
Yeah,
great
well,
times.
I think about those times and going out and partying. Really, that was the goal. I'm going to go out. I'm going to drink a lot. I'm going to have a good time. And I think back fondly on those times, mostly fondly, but it was I had fun. It was a good
Yeah.
time. That sounds so horrible to me. It sounds like almost a threat or a torture to do. So you look, what are you going to do? You're going to go out. I'm like, all right, I'll be ready about 6. They're like, no, 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 you can't go out till about 11.
That's
And
right.
then once you get out, you're just going to drink until you're incoherent. And I'm like, that sounds horrible. It sounds horrible, man. So, but
If you
we'll make
showed
it
up
through.
any place at 10, it was a
Oh,
ghost
it's
town.
weird.
Like
Yeah.
nothing was there. It was at least 11 before things started happening. There was no point. The only reason you do that is if you didn't want to wait in line and you wanted to pre-funk. The thing is we were kind of broke, so you didn't want to go there and do your drinking because that was more expensive. You do your drinking at home and then you go there and you have a couple of drinks while you're there. You've already warmed yourself up before you. This is stuff I don't endorse anybody actually doing these days.
No, it was a horrible way. Yeah, it was terrible, man. But that's it's in the past. It was I had fun with it, but I'm glad it's in the past there. But now I'm ready to be home chilling now, like earlier than when I used to leave. I used to go out. I'm ready to be home by then already.
Yeah, no,
make it through. Make it through. Brian, before we move forward, how about we give a shout out to our sponsor, Truck and Tap?
Yes, good idea. So bad news, folks. It's the last weekend of Oktoberfest, and but that's also good news. Truck and Tap is throwing their Oktoberfest party this weekend. If you're listening to the show the day it drops, which is a Saturday, head over to any Truck and Tap location and enjoy the Bavarian-style beer garden takeover. There will be German beer, there will be music, and there will be food. But if you can't make it to the party, or you drop by later and you're looking for some ideas, here are my beer picks for the week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with Weihenstephaner's Fest beer. No surprise, I'm drinking one. Well, I was drinking one just shortly ago. I recommend getting this. If you caught our annual Oktoberfest show, you know it's an absolute winner. And you know right now, from everything I've said about it already today, it's just a killer beer. Easily the best Oktoberfest beer I've had from Germany this year. And if you didn't catch the show, go back and check it out. I think you'll be surprised at how things worked out. At the Duluth location, I'm getting Round Trip's Oktoberfest Marzen. Once again, they did a great job this year on this beer. You can expect rich Munich malt and biscuity flavors and a clean finish. I wouldn't miss it. And if you happen to see the barrel-aged version anywhere around, I'd get that too. Not sure if Truck and Tap's going to have that at some point, but they might. They get all kinds of really interesting beers. But make sure, if you do, drink the regular one first, because those barrel-aged beers, once you have those and go back to the regular Oktoberfest, it's tough. It's tough because those Oktoberfests are good, but once you've had the barrel-aged beer, it's hard to unring that bell. But anyway, at Truck and Tap Alfreda, my pick is Reformation's Revival Oktoberfest. Again, another Oktoberfest beer. It's a Marzen-style Oktoberfest beer. It's said to be complex with notes of toffee and a hint of coffee malt. I haven't had this one this year, or I don't know if I've ever had this one. I'd have to check. But it sounds like a one I need to try, so when I have a chance, I will get that. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going to double down on Weihenstephaner Fest beer. It's on tap there as well. It was the only Oktoberfest beer they had on tap. I didn't want to pick something else, to be honest with you, but you never know. Some other stuff might come on. I think you should try this beer whenever and wherever you can, as long as it's available. So there you have my beer picks for the week. As always, if you'd like the full tap list before stopping by, you can check it out at truckatap.com. The taps change quickly. You never know what might go on soon or what might be going off soon. And if you'd like to see what food trucks are serving and what events are happening, like the Oktoberfest thing or the trivia or karaoke, live music, and all the other stuff that they do, you can also find that at truckandtap.com. In fact, everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com. I think everything in life, possibly.
Probably.
Truckandtap.com. Probably.
It's likely. It's likely.
So definitely check that out, and thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thanks, Truck and Tap. We appreciate it very much. Brian, science, beer and science, two great things that are great together. And there's actually some new science-y applications for spent grain.
Yeah. So, everybody's always looking for new ways to productively use spent grain, home brewers and brewers, professional, breweries will give them to, businesses to make food items, bread, cookies, even dog treats, and home brewers do much of the same stuff at home. And sometimes all the spent grain these professional brewers are producing as a result of brewing, they're giving it to, the farms for animal feed. So it's just kind of getting thrown away. Some of it's just getting dumped, honestly. And we've even seen stories about people using spent grain to make fabric. I think there was a story out of Japan a few years ago where they made jeans out of spent grain. I think that's right. Or just all the material that's left over from brewing that might include some other solids. But anyway, a lot of creative, interesting things happening with it. But a new study has found that the proteins in spent grain have properties that make them useful for creating microcapsules. These microcapsules can be used to protect and preserve products like omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil. and keeping them fresh and stable over time. So we're basically talking about the little clear capsules that you get with your supplements. They're talking about turning spent grain into that. So research shows that the protein concentrates from spent grain have excellent encapsulation properties, and these properties can be further enhanced by using citric acid in the extraction process. So there's also the opportunity for spent grain to help mitigate a possible future protein shortage that people are predicting based upon the increased consumption of animal proteins. There's a lot of people that are saying that in the future there's going to be a shortage, and they're saying, hey, spent grain, a lot of protein in that. We could use that. So that's all highly speculative. We're not actually at a protein shortage that I'm aware of just yet. But in short, spent grain could become a high value product. It could reduce food waste and provide a new sustainable resource for food, pharmaceutical, and cosmetic industries. I guess cosmetics can also use some of the capsules as well for things that they do. I don't have specific examples of that, but it makes sense considering what else I've read about the proteins involved in spent grain. So a lot of opportunity there with spent grain.
It's magical, Brian.
It really is. Yeah.
There's just so much you can do with it. When we brewed here, when we home brewed, my dog loved. They were great as dog food or dog snacks. I'm sure it wasn't something that she should have made a meal out of, but like when we would empty the mash tun out, she really appreciated getting a plate of those spent grains. She was all about it. So
you have to wait for them to cool off a bit because she would get right in.
She would just tear at it. Yeah. She didn't care. She liked them quite a lot. And honestly, I think there's some people that make a porridge, a mush out of it. Like if you've ever brewed and you tasted the wort before it's fermented, it's tasty. I mean, it's very rich and malty and sweet, and depending on what you're making, you get like the roasty toastiness from dark malts and all of that. So I thought before, I never did it, Brian, but I thought before about like making oatmeal. Like instead of using water, use a little wort, some of that flavor to make an oatmeal. I was like, I bet that would be really good, man. Really,
I'll bet that would be amazing. Somebody has to have done.
I was going to say somebody's had to have done that before. Yeah, but and I think we had a buddy that used to always pull a mug of his wort with like before the protein. Was it before or after the protein break? But he wanted like some of that foam on there when he was doing it. So he would always pull a mug of his boiling wort and drink it while brewing. Can't argue with that. It's tasty stuff.
I was
rich
just thinking,
and nutritious.
I was just thinking, if you like that, if you're enjoying that, not all non-alcoholic beers, but a lot of them have some of that flavor, that pre-fermentation wort flavor. So if you're into that, you really should try it. And you haven't tried non-alcoholic beers, you got to try them, because some of the darker ones definitely deliver on some of that character, that like.
And see, that's not a good thing though if you're looking for a beer substitute. But they also make I guess it's a soft drink, Malta. That's popular at a lot of like Cuban joints, and I think a lot of Caribbean places in that have Malta, and it's essentially like the wort there, and just I guess carved up and turned into a drink. So it's tasty.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm like, if you're into that, some people really love the taste of the wort, and like the guy you're talking about. So I prefer not in a finished beer, but I appreciate
not in the finished beer.
Yeah,
not in the finished beer. And I mean, you don't have a heavy sweet tooth anyhow, so I'm sure you're not sitting around chugging bottles of Malta or anything.
No. I'd be bigger than I already am if I were. So,
they're not calorie friendly. That's for sure.
They're not. They'll keep you sustained though. I think there's just they're like a food
there.
I think in some places that I think they have been used to like keep calories up. Like if you don't have access to some better food sources, like, well, this will get you a bunch of stuff, proteins and sugars and a bunch of vitamins and things like that. Like it's no joke,
Right. Simple energy. Brian, Gen Z and their damn drinking habits. It's crazy. They're good, they're bad, they're up, they're down. And Brian, I think this is actually something that you had mentioned, and I don't remember if you were joking or not when you're thinking. I think it was kind of said halfway off the cuff, but the news is that Gen Z is saving cask ale in the UK.
Yeah, this is kind of cool to see. A new survey in the UK shows that 25% of Gen Z beer drinkers aged 18 to 24 now regularly drink cask ale, and that is a 50% increase from last year. So, uh, again, there's still a portion of Gen Z that's not 18 yet, so they can't legally be drinking. The survey flies in the face of the popular belief that Gen Z is a non-drinking generation. I think they're just young and broke. That's the big thing right now.
That'll
The
do it.
percent,
That'll do
yeah,
it.
the percentage of UK Gen Z drinkers rose 10% from 66% to 76% over the last year. So they're warming up there. The appeal of cask ale to younger drinkers is attributed to its value, its freshness, and its variety. And the venue also plays a part in this as well. The unique aesthetic of the community-oriented experience of visiting a pub is also winning over the younger drinkers. But the article doesn't mention it, but I have to point out that the lighter carbonation of cask ale is also appealing to Gen Z. We've mentioned it in the past. They're not fans of carbonation. And I also want to say it, what Tim was hinting at is I called this. I absolutely called this. This is something I've been predicting for a while. I've mentioned a few times. Tim is correct. I was kind of joking about it, but I did see a real potential there. If they don't like the carbonation, but they might be okay to the flavor of beer, this is the answer right here. So Gen Z just needed to discover it, or maybe invent cask ale, because they like to invent things that exist. So that maybe that happened. Maybe somebody on TikTok invented cask ale in the past year or so, and that's
Good for
possible.
them.
But
Good for
yeah,
them.
I don't care as long as they're drinking it. I would like them to keep that alive. But the question now is, Gen Z is saving cask ale, sure, but are they putting ice in it?
Cask ale. I can just see an old British pub owner like literally stroking out, like heart attack, stroke, just hitting the floor. It's like, yeah, let me get a pint there, mate. And he's like, hey, there's no ice in this. Can I get some ice? And we just lose him. One pub owner
Yeah,
gone.
just
R.I.P.
dead.
R.I.P. You know what I think anytime we talk about these Gen Z articles, Brian, is I remember being younger and seeing news stories like them talking about Gen X and
Oh
saying,
yeah.
talking about their fashion trends, what they were into. I remember slang, like talking about slang, and I remember how far off they were so many times as to the reality of what Gen X was all about. And I just wonder if Gen Z, I don't really need to wonder. I'm sure they're looking at all this stuff and just thinking how crazy all these old people are trying to psychoanalyze their lifestyles.
Yeah, there's just no chance that people are getting this right. I know
Yeah,
that it's and I'm not going to try to dump on all the reporters that are making an attempt, but the thing is, it's just, they just don't know. They really don't. You have to, I think, to in any generation, you've got to live the lifestyle. You got to be there and see all the stuff. And there's what everybody sees from the outside. And there's what's really going on in the inside. And I think eventually, yeah, they'll come around to some of the stuff that they're doing is silly, and we know they'll grow out of it. We hope they will. Like, I think that
right.
every generation, I know millennials had things that like, they can grow out of this, and we were called Gen Z. Were we slackers and shiftless and lazy, and we'd never amount
All
to
of it.
anything, kind of
All
thing.
of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I think we did okay. We turned out like we stopped being grungy alternative people like quite a while back.
we
We
did.
became adults.
Well, I mean, I did have a phase where I was a skate punk. And I think I mentioned it before, I had a mohawk and I had my skateboard. That was my main mode of transportation. I wore rat bones and Bones Brigade t-shirts, and I had an army jacket and red suede vision streetwear and peg jeans and combat boots and all of that. And that was something. Now I'm probably average Joe, about as Joe average as you can get when it comes to my style, and I'm Mr. Middle America, I think, on that. But and some of my friends that I had then are still alternative, I guess. Not as flashy as we were back in the day with some of the attire, but still are more into that. Like for them, it wasn't a phase. That's just the way they were, and me, that was something that at the time, that was it. It's just a phase, man. I'm like, you know what, Mom, you nailed that one. It was indeed just a phase. So
Yeah, but at the time, it seems super important.
it
All
was
that
important,
stuff,
man.
all
This
that
is my
stuff seems
life.
super important.
This is
Yeah.
my
Oh,
life,
I
man.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, Brian, more news on the non-alcoholic beer front, and this is kind of a surprising one, considering who's partnered up with it. But Charlie Sheen is coming out with an NA beer.
And there's not a single reference to Tiger Blood anywhere in this, which is the most
Madness.
disappointing part. But yeah, Charlie Sheen's he's launching his own non-alcoholic brand called Wild AF, and the AF, I'm told from him in a video I watched, means alcohol free, not the other AF. So uh, he's collaborating with Barrel One Collective's Harpoon Brewery, that the Harpoon Brewery you've heard of, and their innovation brand shop, the Silent Group. Their first beer is going to be non-alcoholic lager called Cold Gold. Reportedly, Sheen has been an active participant in the creation of the beer, not just a name attached to the product or the project. I guess I imagine he's just drinking. I don't think he's actually got a mash paddle in his hand doing
Not
stuff.
out
But
there, right? Yeah.
yeah, the brand's initial launch strategy is direct to consumer via the Wild AF website. The company is taking pre-orders now and expects to ship the non-alcoholic beer in mid to late November ahead of the holiday season and, of course, dry January. A 6-pack will cost you $13.99 on the website. And if you're curious, the beer is 68 calories and 15 grams of carbs per 12-ounce can. So I don't think it qualifies as low carb, but it is kind of like dietish beer. So if this seems like an odd choice for Sheen to be involved in, and I think it does to almost everybody, probably don't realize that he has apparently been sober for about 8 years at this point. He hasn't been drinking at all.
I didn't realize it was that long. It just didn't. You know, I don't follow Charlie Sheen that close, but I didn't realize it had been 8 years.
Yeah, time flies, man. It really does. He also claims he's had every non-alcoholic beer on the market and wasn't satisfied by any of them. But that's exactly what someone starting a non-alcoholic beer brand would say. Like, oh yeah, I didn't like any of the stuff out there. That's why I came up with my own brand. But
Yeah.
the real question, Tim, is are you going to buy some? I know how you enjoy pre-orders and waiting for things to arrive.
I love it, man. I love it. So I would try it. Now, his little comment about, "Hey, I tried them all." I that's probably marketing fluff, but you know,
Of
I'm
course.
always curious what these guys are delivering. You know, what's out there, and we know that who's brewing it. You know, who's the brewer behind it, the actual brewer. And that did you see? Did you mention that Harpoon, Brian?
Harpoon
Is
Brewery,
that
and
right?
they've got an innovation brand shop, the Silent Group. I don't know if they're actually brewers, experimental brewers, or if they're just in there
Yeah.
with the marketing. But yeah, Harpoon from Barrel One Collective
Okay.
is going to
All
actually be
right.
making it.
We'll see, Brian.
Could be
We'll
good.
see. It could
Yeah,
be, man. It
yeah.
could be. So, yeah, I'd try it. I don't know that I'll rush out and order it, but maybe we'll see if we can get some PR there and get some samples on that one.
My guess is he's got enough name recognition. He'll get people to make the orders, and eventually we'll start seeing a little bit of it make it out into the world. And yeah, I'll get some.
Yeah.
I'll pick some up. Some
Maybe
Wild
we'll get
AF.
Charlie Sheen on the show. See what we can do to get
Why
Charlie
not?
Sheen
Right? That
on.
would be
Chat with
fun.
him, man. Yeah.
That would be great. We should do that.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, Brian, speaking of marketing moves, Netflix, we are probably going to see a lot more Bud coming to Netflix.
Yeah, we've in the past in the show we've talked about spotting, and I just in general talk about spotting beers we recognize or tap handles we recognize in movie and TVs, and we're like, is that one of ours? Where did they film that at? We've talked about a few things like that's always fun, and you have to wonder if it's if it's product placement or if it's just a convenient prop that just happened to be there and they just worked it into the shot. Well, in the future, when it comes to Netflix shows, it's definitely going to be product placement. Definitely going to
Okay.
be
Yeah.
because Netflix and AB InBev have formed a global co-marketing partnership to promote both Netflix popular shows and the brewers' beers. So the deal will include campaigns for specific Netflix titles like The Gentleman and Culinary Class Wars. I've heard of The Gentleman. I don't know about the other one. And as well as there'll be some limited edition packaging and some digital promotions, that sort of thing. As part of the agreement, AB InBev will be advertising during Netflix's growing selection of live sports, including the NFL's Christmas Day broadcast and the 2027 Women's World Cup. So I think we're going to be seeing some Michelob Ultra, either cans or ads or something in the events or in the shows probably. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of Bud product placement. It won't be an accident. So.
Product placement done well, you never really notice it, but I think some of it, like there's certain things you can see where like people have 5 beers sitting on a counter and every single one of them is turned where the exact label is facing forward and that. Well, I actually saw something one time for a movie that was being filmed, and I think they reached out to us to see if we knew anybody that would be interested. But they had a pitch. They wanted an alcohol brand to work with them. And in this one, Brian, I don't think they were paying. They were asking people to donate X amount of beer to get their product in, featured in the movie. And they mentioned that if you donated X, or I actually think I got one time, Brian, where the brewery had to pay the movie. Like they
Oh,
had to pay to get their brand in there, and there was packages. But anyhow, there was one that said um for X dollars. Like the cheap one was one of the main characters will consume your beverage in a scene, along with other beverage. Like there would be other beverages. You would be one of several in that scene. And another was like you and one other beverage will be featured with clearly visible labels. And then the big one was that they were the only one. Like this was the only one that would be featured, and you would have up to 5 placements in the scene with clearly visible branding and labels on it. And I know that one that we actually knew some people that got into, our friend Scott Hadeen from Burnt Hickory Brewery, when they filmed the movie Dumb and Dumberer, I think is the one that it was
yeah,
Dumb and Dumberer
yes.
2, I think. There was at the time there was a beverage in Atlanta that actually we knew people from like 3 of the beverages in there. K Rum
Oh, that's right.
was one
K
that was
Rum was
I
in there.
forgot K Rum
Yeah.
was featured, and we knew the owner of that brand. And then Huanate, which was
I,
a canned latte
and they were
that
hot for
was
5 minutes.
they had a
Yeah.
moment here where they were super hot, but Burnt Hickory at the time they didn't package their beer, so they had to mock up some bottles because there's a scene in there. So if you watch Dumb and Dumberer 2, there's a movie where they're at I forget the exact scene. They're at a banquet or some kind of reception or something, and they start just chugging drinks and that. So look, and you'll notice I think K Rum actually had like some signage in there, like pretty big placement. And the Huanate latte, you'll see branding for that, and you'll see them drinking Burnt Hickory beers in there. So, and I do know that one there wasn't. I don't think there was compensation either way. I think it was more like you donate.
And we'll
I think it
show
was
it.
like 4 cases, or something like that. It wasn't anything super ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy. I haven't thought about why not in a while, but
Yeah,
you'd go into a liquor store. Heck, I would go into a cigar shop, and the cigar shop would have a little cooler that was
cases.
like, yeah, it was like branded for why not, and they would just like,
Yeah,
do you want one? We've got them. They're good to go. They're like a cooler just for those that was added. Like, and it
they
went
were
from being
good. I
everywhere.
mean,
Yeah, they were
they
great.
were tasty little canned latte beverages. Yeah, they were good.
They were everywhere, and then they were just nowhere.
Just
I've
gone.
never
Just
seen, and
gone, man.
I went looking a year or two later, trying to figure out what happened, and like even the actual like evidence online of them existing was sparse. I'm like, what happened? How does this kind of thing happen? Was this
What's it called
a
when you
hallucination
yeah, what's it there's a term for like is it butterfly effect? Is that what
or
that
the
is?
Mandela effect or the butterfly
Mandela
effect?
effect. I think
Mandela,
it's Mandela.
where you remember things being a certain way, or there's a mass
Right. Like
hallucination that was something was a certain way and it really was never that way. Yeah.
Berenstain Bears versus Berenstain Bears and things like that. They're like, no, it never was this way. And it's like,
I get confused by those. I'm
what?
like, I look at him, I'm like, I don't remember what I thought it was, because I
Yeah.
knew I was aware of the
Uh,
Berenstain or Berenstein,
did Why
whatever
Not
it is.
even exist, Brian?
Honestly, no clue.
We
Or
just
like
don't
the
know.
Shazam that had who was it? Wasn't there like wasn't there a movie
Was it
that never
Shaq?
actually yeah, it was like Shaq with Shazam
And
or
they're
something
like,
like that.
nope,
And it
that
never
didn't
actually
exist.
existed. It was never
Man,
a thing. And
I don't
people
know
seem to
about
think that
that.
it existed.
I don't know about that. They're
I don't
messing
know
with their
how this
brains,
happens.
man.
We're in a simulation and they rewrote that. Like as part of the patch, they edited that right out. So it doesn't exist, but they didn't successfully clear all our memories, I think is what it
I
was.
mean, Brian, that's almost as ridiculous as hearing a story about like wild chimpanzees in Africa getting lit up, getting drunk. That's almost that crazy.
That sounds like you're leading me into the next story. So yes, that is pretty crazy. It turns out that chimpanzees like alcohol, much like us humans, and they are regular consumers of booze, but not in the way you might expect. Wild chimpanzees in Africa are estimated to be consuming the equivalent of nearly 2 standard alcoholic drinks a day through their fruit-heavy diets. A UC Berkeley study measured the ethanol content in 21 fruit species eaten by chimpanzees and found that on average, the fruit contains 0.26% alcohol by weight. The important thing about this discovery is it supports the drunken monkey hypothesis. Have you heard of the drunken monkey hypothesis, Tim?
I have not. I have not.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. That is that human attraction to alcohol has evolutionary roots in the diets of primates who ate ripe and overripe and fermented fruits historically. And so we developed a sense of enjoyment from the alcohol from that familiarity with it. But despite the daily alcohol intake, the chimpanzees show no visible signs of intoxication, though they've had like 2 martini lunches basically. They aren't actually out there getting in the jungle getting gazeboed. Really, they would have to eat an excessive amount of fruit to really become inebriated, and that got me thinking: like, how many 0.26% alcoholic drinks would you have to drink in order to get legally drunk? So I did what anybody would do that's sane. I asked AI, and it estimated you would need to drink between 4 and 5.5 gallons of mildly alcoholic fruit juice at 0.26% to blow up 0.08 on a breathalyzer.
Okay.
And AI quickly anticipated where I was going with this. It helpfully told me that a chimpanzee would never actually be able to eat the amount of fruit required to hit legal intoxication. So it's basically impossible for them to do that. But if you'd still like to go ahead.
So I was just going to say, you see these things all the time about bears or birds or anything getting into fermented fruit. And now I imagine if they find, like, I saw something one time where like a rail car full of apples turned over and the apples sat there. And I don't know like what ABV an apple can actually get if it truly sits there and ferments naturally. Like if it could become more boozy than that average 0.26%. But they've shown things like that where like you'll see birds, like 6 birds just laid out on the ground. Like they're so drunk they don't even move. And I saw a video one time where a farmer's pig got into apples or I'm just gonna stick with apples because I don't know which fruits it was, and it's laid over on its back with its legs straight up in the air, like it's so gorged that it's swollen and laid on its back. And he went to flip it upright on its legs, and it rolled like a barrel down the hill, like squealing the whole way. And I'm like, man, and the guy's like, oh God, I'm sorry, man. Oh, so. But yeah, so are they? I guess it can get more alcoholic.
I think that there was like Oktoberfest or like there was a story in Germany or something like that about wasps getting drunk off of beers. I think they were drinking the beers, but also like spillage and fruit and things like that. So this does happen, like you said, the birds. But if you want to give it a shot, getting drunk off of fruit, they say you should stick to figs and plums because they have the highest natural ABV. And I was thinking about plums.
Maybe that is.
Who do I know that likes plums? Jason Pellet, formerly from Orpheus. Maybe that's why he liked plums so much. He's just getting hammered on plums all day. Anyway.
Could be. And Brian, only slightly related, but I think worth mentioning because of the coincidence, Jane Goodall passed away today. Who was known for her work with I believe chimpanzees, the great apes or whatever.
Was it gorillas?
I don't want to get that wrong. Gorillas.
I'm actually not sure.
I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but it was primates. I do know that. And Brian, with that, man, we are totally out of time there. So we thank everyone for joining us, hanging out. We definitely appreciate it. If you like what we're doing here, we would love for you to tell a friend. If you really enjoy what we're doing, we would absolutely love it if you supported us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys and you'll get all the details there. We would love to send you out some swag and cool stuff and get you in our Discord. But with that said, we hope that you have a really, really good week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Da-na-na, da-na-na. Good stuff.
That is a good coincidence. The Jane Goodall, or
Well, I
not a
wouldn't
good
use
coincidence, but
term
interesting
good.
coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, just today. Crazy stuff. Crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
wild. 91, I think I saw somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Long
quite
life,
the
man.
life.
That's a
Yeah.
long life. Absolutely. Well, y'all, we are going to, I knew it. I just got the note that Instagram kicked us off there.
Yeah.
So we crossed that hour threshold and they booed us. But y'all, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope that you all have a really great week, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.